Hello, happy Friday. I hope that you had the best week that you could and that you have some fun things to look forward to this weekend, even if it's just relaxing. I have a little bit of relaxing and a little bit of busyness planned for this weekend. Today, I want to talk with you guys about Common Core math terms. So this week and next week, we're talking all about those terms that your child's school and might use that you may not know or be sure of. And we want to give you the tools to be able to know those terms or be able to find those terms, and then also be empowered to ask when you don't know what your child's teacher or your child's school is talking about. But today, I want to talk about Common Core math. Please don't stone me. Whether you like it or not, your child is probably doing math differently than you did when you were growing up. And that might make you feel a little bit uncomfortable because it's harder to help them. But there are some reasons behind why we do math differently at school than we did before. And we're not going to get into that today, but there are some videos that go into that I've made before, and I'm sure I will make one again. If you're interested in that, please reach out because I would love to hook you up with some good resources that talk about the reasons why. But today we're going to talk about, I think there's 5 different terms and different concepts that are commonly used in Common Core math, especially in elementary school. Even if your state doesn't have Common Core, they probably have standards that mimic the Common Core. So just because your state doesn't have Common Core does not mean that these terms do not come up in your child's homework. So if you're looking for a little bit of a boost when it comes to the math that your child is doing, this video is for you. I'm going to try to keep it short, and the special treat is that you are going to get a little bit of a sneak peek into what it's like to be in online tutoring, because I'm going to use some online tutoring tools. So let's do it. The first thing I want to talk about, so this is like a kindergarten, first grade, is making 10. So you may hear a lot in those grades, your child working on making 10, and then they move on to making 20. They might before that be making 5. And the reason why they do this is to give your child fluency with numbers. So you may see them working on 10 frames, and I'll show you just an example of a 10 frame that we use in online tutoring sometimes. And so you'll see them using a 10 frame to show all the different ways that they can make 10. And it seems really simple, but we forget that kids do not have this skill, and it's a really helpful skill to have to be able to think about numbers fluently. So here's an app that we use online, and I'll link it down below. So if I'm making 10, I could say that I'm going to do 6 and 4. So I could do 6 of one color, 4 of another color. So 6 plus 4 makes 10. And you could even do this with subtraction. You see it most commonly with addition. So that's making 10. The other thing you'll hear a lot in those earlier grades is friendly numbers. So kids trying to do a math problem, and maybe they're encouraged to use friendly numbers to get their answer. So an example of this would be, and I'm going to pull up our whiteboard here. If I'm trying to do, I don't know, 9 plus 7, I might say, I know, maybe I know 10 plus 7 is 17, and I know this is 1 less than that. So you say 10 plus 7 equals 17. So I know that 9 plus 7 must equal 16. So using that friendly number of 10 is helpful for me here. Some other examples of friendly numbers could be like any multiple of 10 is pretty friendly. And then the 2s and the 5s are normally what kids gravitate towards. So that's what it means when we talk about friendly numbers. Okay, next, partial products. So if your child is asked to do partial products, in order to find the answer to a multiplication problem, what that means is we're decomposing or breaking down those numbers and using the broken down portion of that number to find the answer. So instead of doing what we call the standard algorithm, which typically looks like this. So if I'm doing 32 times 7, let's try that. 32 times 7. With standard algorithm, I'm going to do 7 times 2, which is 14, and 7 times 3, which is 21, plus this one up here, which is 22. Versus if I'm going to do partial products, I will take 32 times 7, and I will break this 32 into 30 plus 2. So now I will be able to do it by doing 30 times 7 and 2 times 7. So 30 times 7 is 210, because I know 3 times 7 is 21, and 2 times 7 is 14. Now I'm able to add, so 4 to 224. So we get the same answer for both, but it's just a different way of doing that. And what this helps kids understand is place value. So here, when we're doing the standard algorithm, kids get confused all the time with what step comes next, because they're not thinking about the place value and the fact that I'm multiplying the ones and the tens. They're thinking about just the steps. Whereas when we do partial products, they're thinking more about the place value and the actual value of the numbers. Decomposing can also be used for addition. So addition strategy we talked about earlier is the friendly numbers. We can also use decomposing. So if I have 19 plus 28, and I don't know that off the top of my head, and I don't want to use the standard algorithm, because again, kids get mixed up. They focus on the process and not the meaning. That's why we do some of these things. So I could say, I know this is 10 plus 9 for 19, and 20 plus 8 for 28. And then I can add my tens and my ones. So I can say, okay, 10 plus 20 is 30. And then 8 plus 9, I know is 17. Now I can add these together, which I can quickly see is 47. So that's decomposing. I'm trying to move through these pretty fast, but if you have any questions, you can leave them below and we'll talk about them. So the last thing I want to talk about is area model and matrix. So this is when we get into multiplication. We're kind of staying on the lower end of elementary math right now, or not elementary, but like we're sticking with the lower end here. And this is actually not the last thing I'm going to talk about. I'm also going to talk about our bar model. So when we start to do multiplication, most kids are now going to, instead of just learning rote memorization, they're also going to learn the area model. So, and the matrix. So here, when we're thinking about something like 5 times 3, your child may draw an area model of 5 times 3. So they may split this into 5 sections. And this like really helps kids learn about proportionality and fractions, and then they're going to split this into 3. And if you count all these squares, you're going to realize that the answer to this is 15. Once we get into multi-digit numbers, I'm going to show you an example of doing a 2-digit by 1-digit. So if we do 12 times 8, we could decompose the 12 into 10 plus 2. And we can leave the 8 because it's not a double-digit number. Then we can draw, so instead of making 12 marks and then 8 marks, what we can do is imagine that and see that this 8 times 10 would be 80, and then 8 times 2 would be 16. So this is the same thing as when we did the partial products, but it's just in the area model form. Really last this time, I want to talk about bar models. So your child might be asked to do bar models, and this actually starts in kindergarten and goes all the way up to high school. So this is a model that kids build their understanding as they go along. Bar models, and then in, my mouse is being very weird right now. Here we go. In Eureka Math, they also call them tape diagrams. Same thing, just a different name, are a physical or a visual representation of a problem using a bar. So for example, if I have a problem where I know the answer is 19, I can say, okay, this whole bar is worth 19. I know part of this bar is worth 9, and I want to know what X is. And the bar can help me visualize what this problem looks like. We can also see it with problem solving when we have things like repeated addition, which ends up being multiplication. So if I know that I have maybe $10 and I earn so much every day, and I earn maybe $2 a day, I can use this bar model to help me solve that problem. I'm doing really simplistic examples here. And then it can get more and more complex as we move through the standards. Okay, that was fast and furious overview of some of the common core things that your child is being asked to do in the elementary grades and sometimes beyond. I would love to know your questions, and you can leave those below wherever you're watching this. And if your child needs some math help this semester, maybe it's not going well and you would like to get on top of it before it gets out of control and they need a confidence boost, please reach out to us wherever you are watching this, and we would love to schedule a free consult call with you to see if one of our amazing, highly qualified online tutors would be a good match with your child. And go ahead and tune in with us next week because we'll be talking about more things that you hear from your child's teacher and from their school that you may not know exactly what it means. And until then, I hope you have a great weekend.